Hello pilots and welcome back to another X-Wing flight video brought to you by Out of Arc Gaming. As always, my name is Phil and we have a very special guest with us today. We have...
Hello, my name is Quinn and I've been on this channel as a player a few times. I never had my best luck on this channel, but I'm quite interested to see what this game holds.
You might not have had best luck in results, but I tell you what, they've always been really good fun games that you've been on, Quinn, so happy to have you on the channel again. So obviously we've got two lists here for you, so we'll break down those lists and then we'll go through the game. So Quinn, did you want to go through Ed's list? I know you're a bit of a fan of the Scum faction.
Yep, Scum was my first faction and it still holds a firm place in my heart. So we start off with the man himself, Fen, in the Fang Fighter. I believe he's the only Fang Fighter pilot that doesn't have a mod slot now, since they updated that in the last rule change.
That is correct.
You've obviously got to give him Fearless, because you're always wanting that arc in arc at range 1. And Ion Torps, because as you will see through this list, ionization is something of a trend. Next we have Crassus, who is my preferred fire spray pilot, I have to say. I love having the ability to shoot special attacks out of your rear arc. So here we've got Protector Co-Pilot, because who doesn't love a second focus token? Seismic Charges, I've been on the receiving end of them quite a few times. They always pack a bit of a nasty surprise, and they sound amazing. Veteran Tail Gunner, because you've got a rear arc, you might as well try and use it as much as possible. Ion Missiles, because again, we're going for that ionization. Munitions Failsafe, because you don't want to waste those missiles. And it's cheap, like it's 1 point, like if you've got spare points, you might as well have it. Elusive, because a reroll can actually, like, I've had it save my life quite a few times. And Marauder, because again, we want that rear arc help, because it lets you reroll if you do a rear arc attack. And also it gives you the gunner slot to allow you to have the vet tail gunner in the first place. And then just a nice cheap Z95 that we like throwing in with, again, ion missiles, because ionization, clearly want to know where those ships are going. Munitions Failsafe again, because cheap and guarantees you not wasting missiles. And finally, Expert Handling, because again, it's cheap and the Z95's got a red barrel roll for some reason, so you might as well like make it easier to use.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Expert Handling on the Z95 just gives it that extra bit of maneuverability, and as people that are familiar with this channel will know, Ed is a big fan of this list and he does love his Fen Z95 fire spray build. So on the other side of the table is actually myself again. So I've gone with my second favourite faction of the Republic. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Delta 7 with calibrated laser targeting. Plo Koon, also in the Delta 7 with calibrated laser targeting. Anakin Skywalker in the Naboo Starfighter with passive sensors, intimidation, and advanced proton torpedoes. And rounding the list out is Goji in the BTLB Y-Wing with seismic charges, 7th Fleet Gunner, and the dorsal turret.
So starting off, what's your reasoning for putting Goji so far away from the rest of them? Because his ability is you want your bombs near your team, so why have you started him like in arguably what I'd call the wrong place?
Let's go with because I'm an idiot.
It wasn't purposeful.
Well, this was the first time I'd actually tried this list, and I hadn't really flown the BTRB Y-Wing, so I also knew that I had the maneuverability with the other 3 ships that I could quickly get back down to him if needed. So we'll say from a tactics point of view, Goji was the bait to draw them across for the rest of them to come in and flank, if we want to put a tactic on my madness there. But I mean, you could probably attest this, Quinn. Sometimes you write some cool lists and then forget exactly what you're supposed to do with them.
What do you mean sometimes? I mean, every time I make a cool list, it's always, I get halfway through the game and I'm like, I'm losing because I've completely forgotten what this list is built for.
I will deny that claim because I've played some games against you, unfortunately, which we haven't actually had on film, where your lists have worked so well. I seem to remember your Captain Sparkle's bait and switch list was really good. And also the, was it Dash Biggs and Jan Orr's list
Oh, I
that
love that list. Yeah,
you really gave me the runaround with. And I'll tell you what, that game ended up a lot closer than I expected. I think it came down to 1 or 2 hit points in the end. I think if I'd have had an extra round or 2, I might have pipped that, but you just did so much hurt to my ships in the early round that I couldn't quite get there.
gotta love the Outrider. Gotta love the Outrider.
Outright, that was brilliant. I thought, he's going straight down the middle, I'll have him, but didn't quite work out, especially when you put Han Solo on there. It's just cheeky.
Yeah, I mean, it's good fun.
Yeah.
Tell you what I don't get about Delta 7s is their interceptors whose pilots a support role. Like, it doesn't, like, the two don't really go together very well. Like, your two you've got are both, their abilities are support abilities, like Obi-Wan's giving out the focuses, and I can't remember Plo's.
So Plo's, at the start of the engagement phase, you may spend 1 force token and choose another friendly ship at range 0 to 2. If you do, you may transfer 1 green token to it or transfer 1 orange token from it to yourself.
It just seems like a weird concept to have a support interceptor, because interceptors are like meant to like not disadvantage themselves for the sake of other ships, if you get what I mean.
I know exactly what I mean. I mean, if you look at, say, Fen Rao or Soontir Fel, they're very much, they don't negative other people, but they are very beneficial to themselves. They really play into the ability of the ship. I think that's one of the things that marks the Delta 7 out differently from other interceptors, in that they do work very much as a support role ship there, but they can also take that aggressive stance. I mean, sometimes you don't even need to worry about their abilities. You could be taking, say, Obi-Wan purely because he's got 3 force and just use him as a flanker. And that spending the force for the focus, you can do it on yourself as well. So it could also double benefit you in the same sense.
Oh, I'd forgotten it was 0. Because, so...
Yeah, to be honest, I forgot that quite a few times whilst playing. But yeah, it can actually benefit yourself. And if you do want to run a couple of Delta 7s, then they can support themselves equally, making themselves a bit more efficient. So yeah, they're a less aggressive interceptor in comparison to, say, Fen Rao, Soontir Fel, or even if you're looking at some of the TIE defenders. But they've got their utility in there, and I think it does sit with that Republic faction. They are very much a team faction. It's not a case of you've got one ship that's going to go off and do its own thing. They all support each other quite nicely, which I really like.
Yes, it's got very much that army sense in that they are a unit, as opposed to, especially Scum, it's just a collection of individuals that are out to benefit themselves.
Yeah, I mean, the Scum of all of them have got those abilities where it's like, right, well, I'm going to mess you up, matey, on my team, so that I'm actually going to have a better shot. So that is very much a Scum feel, and a little bit Imperial as well if you're using something like Ruthless.
Or Separatist with whatever their talent is. Oh, I've forgotten it.
Treacherous.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah, so the other factions, it's definitely, the Republic's definitely obviously your sort of more light side faction in that sort of thing. So I've just pulled up Treacherous. So while you defend, you may choose a ship obstructing the attack and spend 1 charge. If you do, counts a 1 hit or crit result, and the ship you chose gains 1 strain token. After a ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, recover 1 charge. That's actually not too bad. It's not as detrimental as you'd expect, but still, it's a case of, right, well, you can have a strain so that I don't die.
I'd always assumed it was a friendly ship, but it's not. It's any ship, is it?
It's any ship, yeah.
Oh, okay, then yeah, that could be quite good fun.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The Republic, in comparison to some of the other ones, it's very much of a team-building list. They work a lot stronger together. Some of them do have abilities which might not actually work with other people. Say Anakin's allowing him to do that barrel roll, but other than that, most of them do tend to work well with each other.
Anakin's barrel roll is an interesting one, isn't it? Like, it's really only there for the joke. Like, I don't think it's there for any sort of like purposeful reason. It's just there because spinning is a good trick.
I'd say 50-50. I'd say it's not one of those like inbuilt abilities that a pilot has, which you're going to go, oh, Anakin's amazing, I'm going to take him purely because he's got that. But there are situations where it can actually be quite handy, and I've used it and it's worked out well. But I know what you mean. It's not, they really have played into the flavour of that character and that specific scene for the Phantom Menace, and I kind of love that. I think it is kind of brilliant. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's, in comparison to some other abilities, it's not the best, but it can be handy.
Yeah, I mean, they're quite good with their in-jokes at FFG, or hopefully Atomic Mass will keep that going. Like with the Han Solo gunner, where even if someone else has I-7, the Han Solo gunner always shoots first, because Han always shoots first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is brilliant, and I do hope that when we find out more information from Atomic Mass Games about what is happening with X-Wing from them, that they do keep some of that flavour that FFG started to incorporate in version 2. I mean, it's been quite a while since the initial announcement that they were taking over, so I'm hoping that in the next couple of weeks we might actually get some information about that.
I mean, we've all heard the leaks about the new stuff that's meant to be coming out. I would quite like some concrete evidence at some point.
Oh yeah, I mean, the leaks came out ages ago though, before we even knew about the AMG stuff. So it's obviously got the Razor Crest coming, Phoenix Squadron, the Sky Strike Squadron, I think it was, for the Empire.
Yeah, Fugitives. No, Collaborators and Fugitives for Scum as a squadron pack is the latest leak I've heard.
Ooh. I'd be interested to see what's actually in that, because obviously we've had 2 Scum Squadron packs in the past, but I don't know if we need another dual Z95 and Y-Wing pack, or a Star Viper and Kirax pack. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get, I don't know, the Fang Fighter in there with something else.
Fang Fighter and maybe dual M3s, because they're also Mando ships, aren't they?
Yeah, that would actually, I was thinking that, Fang Fighter and dual M3s, because you tend to find that the ship that you get 2 of in there is something that you are quite likely to fly multiples of. So you look at the V19 Torrent, you very rarely see one of those on the table. The T-70 X-Wings tend to come in pairs or multiples. First attack coming in there from Crassus on Goji.
Ouch.
And that's all 3 shields gone on Goji, so that's
what the fire spray does.
That's what the fire spray does. And Perceptor Co-Pilot making that very painful.
Yes, I do love a good bit of Perceptor Co-Pilot.
But I mean, going back to what you said about that squadron pack, I do think the M3 would be quite nice as a dual pack in there.
Yes, I do love the M3. Like, it's a nice little cheap interceptor, and some of the pilots are quite fun. Like, quite like Sunny Bounder. Sunny Bounder's always a laugh with his, what if you roll all the same, add a result. So,
yeah. I mean, they are, some of the M3 pilots are actually really good. And again, as you said, they're not an expensive ship. And I'd say that between them and the Z95, they're 2 sort of like good filler ships.
Yes, but they don't have to be filler. I find like the Z95 always has to be filler, because it's never like, can't really stand on its own. But the M3 with like its weapons hardpoint, or like Seraph with rerolls, is always good to have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, I know what you mean with the Z95. I think there's some named pilots on there that you just sort of, you look at and go, I could just drop a couple of points and have a basic one and then get more points elsewhere. I think the only other named pilot I've ever really seen on a Z95 is the Rebel Aaron Kraken.
Is he the one that gets the extra dice if you got a friendly nearby?
I believe so, yeah. And he's about the only one I've ever seen other than your generics.
I quite like the other one, who I'm guessing is Lieutenant Blount, who is basically gives you a free coordinate, which I think is quite. I quite like him on with a Y-wing.
Yeah.
If you say you've got a Y-wing with torpedoes, it would have either Nora or you put swarm tactics on the headhunter. You can use your torps on the Y-wing, and then because the way it's left, the Blount's ability is worded, it's they get an action but treat it as red. So if they do a red reload, it's already red, so you're not really losing anything. And if you've already engaged with it, you don't get the disadvantage of the disarm, because you get a disarm token, but you've already engaged. So
and then in the end phase, your disarm token comes off anyway.
Yes, so it's
that's
like
actually I quite like that.
The problem I've had with it is I always find the headhunter pops, like, because it's got to be range 1, so you've got to fly it in formation, and people always pick on it because of that ability, and it just, with 4 hit points, it just disappears.
Yeah, it is also, again, 4 hit points. It's something that's quite quick and potentially easy to actually take off the board. Like, especially with some of the Rebel stuff, they're quite beefy. So if you've got a Z95 there or a Y-wing,
Go for
you're
the
probably
Y-wing.
going to... Well, I think almost take that Z95 out because it's a bit more manoeuvrable, but it's going to pop. The Y-wing is less manoeuvrable.
I guess I just like going for the ones with the least dice. Like I always pick on the one that's easiest to get the hits through on, I guess.
Yeah. Again, another solid tactic. Definitely a solid tactic there.
Oh, I think I can see what Crassus is planning, given how he's positioned himself quite nice next to that cloud for the next turn.
Yeah.
And you're also flying quite close to that cloud as well, so that might come back to bite you.
Oh yeah, most likely looking at it now, in hindsight, with those seismic charges. Ed's flown this list a lot. He's very well practiced and well versed with this.
Yes, I believe there's a video of me playing against this list on your channel.
Yeah, you were using First Order, and he managed to drop a seismic charge and take damage every single one of your ships.
Who all had stealth device at that point, and they all lost it, which was unpleasant. But he did kill his own Fen, so he sacrificed Fen for that, which I guess was worth it, because...
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Fen was basically out anyway, so sacrificing Fen and getting stealth device off all of your ships and damage on them was definitely a good one. And I think you had quick draw, and quick draw wasn't in a position either to get a bonus shot for losing a shield.
No, because the only person I could have shot was Fen, who just died anyway. So
it was also denial of an opportunity there, so that's quite fun.
Yeah.
But it looks like we are going to get a bit of a melee here.
I hope for your sake that he doesn't drop a seismic charge next turn, because you're quite close grouped to the obstacle field, as it were. Because even if you avoid this gas cloud, you've got these debris fields and that asteroid hanging around as well.
Yeah, I mean, if that seismic charge would basically go down smack center of all of that, and then he gets a choice of where he blows it up. And I don't think there's any way I can get every single ship out of the way of it. So it's an example of how I'd say potentially not to fly.
Yeah, I mean, seismic charges, for how cheap they are wonderfully versatile, because obviously you've got that whole range 1 bubble which you can choose to explode something in, and then that makes another range 1 bubble that things get damaged in. So
I mean, I'd potentially say that seismic charges, if you haven't really flown and used bombs or devices much before, seismic charge is a good intro one to use, because although there is an element of planning of when you're going to drop it, you still get, as you said, range 1 of the seismic charge, blow up an obstacle, range 1 of that. It gives you that more flexibility and a bit more range on it. So I'd definitely say that seismic charges are a good intro bomb for people to get used to.
Oh yeah, and there's also the side tactic you can have with them, where if you've got something with trajectory simulator, you can then just clear the field of obstacles, and then you've got a nice empty field to fly through. I've seen people do that, which is quite interesting. Like, it's quite helpful.
I wonder if people loaded those up on their ships thinking that they were going to come up against vultures.
I mean, especially when you're into a tournament, so you don't know what you're up against. It's always good to have something that is like will be good against a droid swarm, because they're always.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How did that go for you? Have you just taken some more damage?
So 3 hits coming in there. And it looks like I've got an evade, focus, and blank. So just debating. So I think we're just checking exactly how something works there. I think we're checking exactly how the evade token works. Now, this game was recorded a fair while ago, after most of us had come back from quite a sizable time away from playing the game. So there are a few points where we do have to quickly double check the rules. But I believe this is on Annie, and we're just checking about the evade token there.
Oh, well, whether it's an eye or a blank, isn't it? The evade tokens work on.
So knowing now, you can use that. Essentially, it basically turns a dice into a result, which is quite good. Whereas in the old days of version 1, you'd add that to all of your dice as well.
Oh, you added that? That's a bit OP, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the Soontir Fell Turtle, where you'd put on Push the Limit, and you would basically go, I'm going to focus, then push the limit for an evade, get a stress token. Oh, and I get a second focus because I've just got a stress.
That's a little bit broken. Everything I hear about version 1, all I can think of is that's a bit broken. Like, they didn't seem to have the balance very well in place.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that were quite broken in version 1, and also a lot of things that just didn't, like, some ships became unplayable in a way because they just, other ships came in and they were just so much better, and it just made it quite difficult to run everything, whereas version 2 is a lot better for that. So end result of that was Anakin's taken a shield from Fen.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, so Ed's positioned his bomber near where he can be bombed. Your bomber still a bit far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose you can always you can like flank them and swing in and get them with that sneaky seismic.
I think I'm more looking at the dorsal turret with it, which again still isn't even in play. So it was not the best play from me with Goji.
I do like the sound of Goji as a pilot, though. Although obviously you have to have that delayed fuses, it's called, on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't use his ability because the bombs won't be around during the engagement phase. So he kind of uses his mod slot, which is, I guess he's got enough shields for that not to be a big issue, but it is quite a limit, which I guess is why I've never seen him flown other than in this game.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, with the BTLB Y-Wing, it's got a really good inbuilt ability with the plated hull. So as long as you're not critically damaged, you can change one crit result to a hit result. So it still takes quite a lot to get those crits through.
Yes, yeah, that is quite a nice ability, that one.
Yeah, but I think I do need to... I think there are better BTLB pilots you've got Broadside and Matchstick, which are stronger pilots. I need to fly the BTLB a bit more. Y-Wings in general, I don't tend to fly them very often. I think I look more towards some of the faster ships in the game.
The thing that always amuses me about Y-Wings, is particularly the Rebel one, the A4, is that going in a straight line is as difficult as doing a K-turn, apparently, at speed 4. Like, if you think of that in terms of, like, actual flying, it seems a bit backwards, and it always, like, amuses me.
Yeah. I mean, you'd almost expect that 4 forward to be white one rather than red.
It would certainly be nicer. Like, I wouldn't mind having a white 4 forward and a Y wing, because it's quite hard to get them in position sometimes with that red 4 forward, because you obviously sacrifice a lot to do that.
Yeah. And especially if you haven't got, say, an R4 Astromech on there, you then only have 2 blue maneuvers, at least with the BTRB anyway.
Yeah, I can't say I remember the A4's dial, but the A4 has more blue maneuvers. I think it's got the two forward, 1 bank, 1 forward.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, obviously you put the Astromech on it, and then obviously you have a bit more maneuverability, but it's still not that great. But it still makes a B-wing look bad, because B-wing is just red central with its dial. Like, man.
Yeah, but the great thing with the B-wing is they love those reds. Like, especially if you're flying Tendum or Braylon, that's it. They love their stress, so they're like, you know what? Yeah, I'll just do a red maneuver to get a stress. It's fine with me. Absolutely fine.
Getting rid of it afterwards in order to have actions, particularly on Braylon, because 10 obviously you can spend his stress. But Braylon, it hangs around.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Oh, there's some more damage on Goji. He's not going to be hanging around long.
Oh, one hit point. You're not looking healthy there.
No.
That Goji berry is about to be squashed.
But he is going to get a shot.
Obstructed though, so not
obstructed. Yeah,
the greatest odds in your favour.
Yeah, we've got 2 hits though. But that's 2 evades. Oh no, that's 1 evade and 2 focuses with nothing there. So I did get a damage through, and the Black Sun Soldier's down to 1 as well. So, I mean, it's not as many points for me, but.
But as you say, you were experimenting with a ship, so you can't expect it to go too well the first time you're flying it.
Yeah, I think I'd only had this ship. I got it when it came out, and then didn't really get a chance to fly it with the original lockdowns. So I've still got quite a few ships in my collection that I've not flown. So I've set myself the challenge to try and fly every ship, like at least the chassis, at least once this year. So fingers crossed when we get back out of lockdown, I'll actually be able to do that.
Yeah, I have that problem because where I've been on a spending spree recently to complete my factions as First Order Rebellion and Scum, I now have a lot of ships, although way less than you do with your 7 factions. But yeah, getting time to fly them all, particularly a list you really like. And I've built some lists since in this lockdown that I really want to fly. So having Wednesdays come and go without being able to go down the shop to actually fly them is just incredibly annoying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've written a few lists and I'm like, I can't wait to get them on the board and just give them a go. I mean, some of them they're sort of like, oh, well, they could be fun, but I get to fly those ships. And some of them like, yeah, I'm really excited to fly that list because I think it's going to be quite good. And then when you find a list that's quite good, you kind of want to keep flying it for a bit.
Yes.
I mean, I tend to only stick with one list for like more than say 2 or 3 games if I've got a tournament coming up, and I'm like, you know what, that's going to be my tournament list. So I do try and switch it up a bit more than that.
You know me, I have a new list every game because I just make so many lists. Like I have in the region of 100 different lists I've either flown or to be flown, because I find making the lists is more fun than actually flying them, because when you make them, they're perfect and they don't go wrong. And then you fly them, and particularly someone like me, you forget the tactic and you just get absolutely destroyed. And there's that seismic charge I thought might be coming.
Yeah.
So I hope you've planned accordingly.
Well, unfortunately, given the positioning of Fen and that Black Sun Soldier, it kind of limits where I can get to get past that. So I don't believe it's going to go quite so well for me, but we will see.
I think in your position, I'd try and bump his ships, so he would damage himself as well as me if I couldn't get away. A bit like what's happened with that Y-wing and that Z95 as I speak. Because now he can either make the choice to do an obstacle that won't hurt anyone, or he has to hurt himself. Yeah.
So I mean, that's almost in a way could potentially have protected Goji there. And obviously, if I could get a bump in on Fen, Crassus was always going to be able to get out of there no matter what, because I wouldn't be able to get ahead of Crassus. given the positioning and the pilot initiative.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see which one he does go with on there. I mean, he's got plenty of options.
Can we just talk about his fire spray for a moment with the Punisher paint job? Like, it's been seen a few times on this channel now, and I still think it just looks incredible.
It does. I do like... So Ed's obviously done quite a lot of Marvel paint jobs, and I would say they are all really nice.
Yeah, you've got Wolverine and the Fang and Hawkeye and the Headhunter on this board at the moment.
Yeah, and I know he's done a couple of the Mining Guild ties. I believe he's done a Spider-Gwen.
Oh, wow, I haven't seen that one, but I've seen his Spider-Man Noir that he just finished with his little 3D printed bowler hat. That looks very nice.
He did the hat amazing. I know we were talking about that. I've not actually seen it yet, so I'll have to try and check that out. And I believe, did he do another Spider?
He might have. He did Miles Morales, didn't he?
He did indeed.
His original mining type was Miles Morales, which, I mean, his paint jobs are amazing. I mean, I think anyone that can paint X-Wing, such as someone like yourself, is just, I can't do it. Like, I haven't got the fine motor skills for the tiny brushes and all the detail you need, because it's just mad.
I mean, I'd say some of the paint jobs I've done, there's some I'm definitely happier with. I mean, I would never say that I'm like top class with them, but there are some which I'm pretty proud of. There's some that I've seen that are just absolutely mind-blowing with just what they do. Like, not just the paint jobs, but the modding of the ship. The guys that add the LEDs on them, and it's just like, I'd love to do that, but it's a bit of a time factor, and adding the LED. Yeah.
Interesting what he's done with his Fang fighter there, just to bring it back to the game quickly. He's parked it on top of his size. Oh, of course, because the seismic charge, the actual bomb isn't dangerous. Oh, yeah. Oh, that could be quite good then, because and now he's just for safety. He's back.
Yeah, because if he'd have left him on there, he wouldn't have been able to pop the debris cloud in between everyone, because it would have still hurt Fenn. Now he's going to do damage to 4 ships.
Yeah, you're really not going to have a good time.
No, that's...
Yeah, so... Well, you've got...
He nearly missed it.
Unfortunately, that'd be too good to be true. But you'll get 30 points to that Black Sun soldier, right?
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
Oh, he looks like he might be going for the asteroid just to...
He might have actually missed that debris field. Oh, no, he did hit the debris field, so he's popped that. So that's everything within range 1 of that is taking a damage. So that's goodbye Goji, goodbye Black Sun Soldier, ouchies, goodbye shields for everyone else.
Oh yeah, that's not bad for a 3-point bomb, is it? To do all of that damage, or is it 4 points now? It might be 4 points now for a seismic charge.
Seismic charge now 3 points still.
Oh no, it's the concussion bombs went up to 4, which I have to say I absolutely love a concussion bomb. Like, getting through those shields with a face down damage card, which you can then either flip or force them to take a strain.
Yeah.
It's just madness. I mean, obviously the fact that you have to, once you start, you can't stop.
Mm.
But then if you've got something like, is it Eamon in the fire spray that lets you do the extra templates?
Yeah, so with Eamon, you can do it as the 3 hard, 3 straight. So that you can throw them a bit further. And I do like, Eamon Azamin's actually probably my favourite fire spray.
Oh, fair enough. Mine would be Crassus, because I just love that. The semantics you can push with him, with the way that he's worded, you can take advantage a little bit of like Outmaneuver or the new Slave 1 title. You can,
yeah.
There's been no official ruling on them yet. The only ruling so far has been like high-level judges. There's been no like written rules, so I have a horrible feeling that that tactic might be coming to an end soon, because it's a little bit cheaty. But
yeah, I mean, there's a few cards which are still waiting for a clarification on. I think that's one, Shakti's ability, whether it does allow you to spend the Force at the beginning of the end phase, and then at the end of the end phase regain that force. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what, if anything else comes up there. But again, we need to sort of wait for what's coming out from AMG, essentially. So,
I mean, I'm under the understanding it's the same team. They've just changed studio, so it's the same people. They're just...
It's not all the same people. So I think there's. So it's still owned by Asmodee, who's the distribution company, but I don't think there is some. I think it was Ben Davey isn't part of the team anymore. So I don't know. I mean, if you can obviously find all this information online elsewhere. Not really going to get into too much speculation about it because, again, we don't know everything. But the information is out there of what little we have so far. But again, really looking forward to finding out what is going to be happening with this game because I think there's still so much more space for it to go into. There's so much more that we can expect, especially with all the new Star Wars stuff that Disney are bringing out. There's so much more that we can look forward to, and not just the Razor Crest.
I don't think the Razor Crest was among the leaks. I think that's just wishful thinking. I don't think there's been any actual... But it's weird that it's taken so long.
Yeah, from everything I've heard, people have already said that it has been... They have not announced it, but they have said that it will be coming.
I mean, it's a guaranteed success if they release it.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
Many people that don't even fly Scum that would want the model because so many people love that ship.
Yeah, I mean, I've already decided that when it's announced and you can pre-order it, I'm pre-ordering too. So because it's just great, and I'm gonna try and mod the second one.
Oh, into something from Firefly? What is it?
Yeah, so I was going to try and mod it into Serenity because I think that's a good ship for it. And I know that you can get 3D printed ones, but I also want all the dials and stuff so that if I did decide to fly 2 Razor Crests, I can have the Razor Crest and then the Serenity variant. And if I bought a third dial, I could just, spoiler alert, I could just put a base out with some rubble on it.
Yeah, that was the saddest moment from the that was the real tragedy in that episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was heartbreaking in that episode.
I heard a theory that as soon as that was over, they would announce the Razor Crest for X-Wing because there could be nothing more they could add to it because obviously the ship was no more. But yeah, that's not come to fore, sadly.
Yeah. But while we're just waiting for the movement phase to end here, just want to let you guys know, so this is actually going to be for a while the last actual game footage we have from in-store. Unfortunately, with the recent lockdown imposed in the UK, it means we're not able to actually play in person. So we will be switching it up going forward. But hopefully still going to be trying to get out videos for you on a regular basis. It's just we won't be having the real people in real life for a while. But as soon as we are able to get back into the store, normal service will resume there.
You're doing the opposite of Disney. You're going from live action to animated rather than trying to get as much money from their franchises as possible by re-releasing inferior versions of beloved cartoons.
Yeah. Absolutely, I'm not going the Disney route that way. I mean, if I had the money of Disney, I probably wouldn't really be worried by it. But unfortunately, I don't have Disney's money.
I mean, if you were in charge of Disney, we just have constant X-Wing releases, right? You'd just be on constantly at...
Oh yeah, I'd be looking at all the people that were doing things for Star Wars and being like, right, why haven't you released anything yet? Go for it, just do it, just release it, just do it. Here's the information you need. Don't leak it too early, but we're releasing a movie. These are the ships that are going to be in the movie, and we will have it so that you can release them within 2 weeks of the movie releasing. That's what I'd do.
I'm surprised they have things like the TIE Dagger. Like The Last Jedi is over a year old. Not The Last Jedi. Rise of the Skywalker is over a year old at this point, and I don't think we've had anything from it.
No, we haven't had the TIE Dagger. There's obviously the Knights of Ren ship, which could be quite a cool, potentially large base ship for the First Order. There's other ships that were included in the movie as well for the Resistance, which are essentially just repurposed rebellion ships, but they could be interesting in there as well. So yeah, there's still a lot of things that whoever is designing and making the ships have a lot of scope for.
I mean, you've got the Resistance Y-Wing, the Resistance B-Wing, the T-90, T-85, whichever the new
the
is.
T-85 from the Resistance, yeah.
TIE Dagger.
Yeah,
the ship that they went to find on that desert planet that the assassin had, that could be Scum, Empire, or First Order, or Resistance, depending on which angle they took from it.
Yeah, we still got the Outland TIE Fighter from Mandalorian as well, Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter.
Do you think they're likely to do that? Or do you think that would just be a config card and a pilot? Because it's just a TIE with flappy wings. It doesn't really have any other characteristics.
I mean, the thing is, we don't really know enough of it. So, I mean, I'd like to see something more with it. It'd be quite interesting. But again, how would they do that? There's already quite a few TIE-only modifications which you can look at.
Oh, yeah, they've got the Ion...
The Ion Limiter Overdrive.
And Precision Ion engines.
Yeah. So they've already got those sorts of things. I mean, I think it'd be quite nice to have... I can imagine because from what I understand, there's only supposedly in the lore 5 of them made, so I can imagine they've got a bit more than just those wings.
So like the fire spray, aren't there only 6 fire sprays in the lore as well, or something?
Yeah, there's a very small number of fire sprays. I think 6 is the correct number.
Kind of disappointed Hondo wasn't a Seppi pilot on it, because doesn't he have it during the Clone Wars? Isn't he the one that keeps it safe until Boba's old enough to claim it?
No, it wasn't Hondo. I don't believe it was Hondo.
I will just Google it now.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that does know the information for how many fire sprays were made or how many Outland TIE fighters were made, drop it down in the comments. Or anyone that has any speculation on what they would like to see from the Outland TIE fighter, how it could be different from your standard TIE. Again, drop it in the comments. We love a bit of speculation talk down there.
When Boba was in Republic custody, the pirate boss Hondo Onoka repaired Slave One and added it to his collection of ships.
Huh? Nice.
Because I have yet to use the crew card for Hondo, because as much as it could be interesting, I'm not sure it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think I'd only ever use it on something that I had either whichever astromech gives you dual target locks or Perceptive Copilot, so I could jam one of my own ships without wasting an action.
So you'd want to try and combo with R3 astromech then?
Yes, or if I wasn't flying an Astro capable list, I'd have to have Perceptive Copilot.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Hondo's a crew card, isn't he?
Yes.
So I don't think there's many ships that can actually have a crew and astromech.
Oh, it doesn't affect himself. It's choose 2 ships at range 1 to 3 that are friendly to each other, coordinate one and jam the other. So say you had him in, I don't know, the Falcon, and you had a Y-Wing and an X-Wing, you could coordinate one, and if the other one had the R3, you could jam that without wasting a target lock, because you have another one.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I was going to say, having a look, I think one of the only ships I know that actually can do astromech and crew at the same time is R2-D2 in the BTLB.
The Sheathipede, or the attack shuttle, I think it's the Sheathipede, has a crew and an astro slot.
Mm-hmm. I've not really used the Sheathipede much in second edition.
It's not the best ship. It's fun for a laugh because you can do reverses. I mean, I've got a dual Sheathipede list with Leia in it so that you can do white reverses just for a laugh. It's not... Without the Ghost, it's not that useful. I just use it with the Ghost so I get that free coordinate before you move. That's nice.
It is quite nice when you got it with the Ghost anyway, because obviously having those two paired up is just, it's thematic and cool.
Yes. Yeah, the Sheathipede can take an astromech and a crew.
Nice. So we have Fen exactly where he likes to be, facing down the pointy end of someone else's ship.
Yes, and I think that ship's about to be a little bit hurt.
Yeah, so that's 3 hits and 2 focuses.
I mean, Fearless comes into effect now, right?
Yeah.
Or he's also got that focus, if he wants to change both of them.
So I think he has actually already spent Fearless to change one of his dice to a hit. So he's now just debating... Oh no, he's going to save that focus. Obviously he's got 2 shots coming in at him. Oh, and I kind of bet he wished he'd spent the force there, because that would have been a dead blow.
Yeah, I would have spent the focus, because it's an aggressive game. Your dice are more like, you want to remove ships rather than, especially like a 3 evade ship, you get very few chances to get like guaranteed hits on them.
Yeah.
So aggression.
I mean, the thing is now, it does allow Plo to get his calibrated laser targeting shot, although that focus is pointless because he doesn't have anything changing, but hit crit there, that's not bad. And
Concordia face off, as always.
Yep.
I have to say, this game doesn't look like it's going in your favour at the moment. His 2 are untouched, and your 3 are just about hanging on.
Yeah, this definitely hasn't gone my way, but you know what? Again, to be honest, I think winning the game isn't always what it's about. As long as you're having fun, which, to be honest, I would say that 99% of the time that I get to play X-Wing, I'm having fun while I'm doing it. So that's for me is more important.
Oh, absolutely. But it is nice to win sometimes too.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, it is quite nice to win.
Yeah.
But again, I prefer a win where it's actually... I like a win where it is fun for both people. I don't... Like, especially in a casual setting, if you absolutely wipe the floor with someone, I kind of feel bad as well, because I kind of want to be like, oh, I don't want that game to be, like, feel negative for that person.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, completely destroying someone in the first few turns, whilst can be hilarious in terms of the dice rolls you get, like 5 hits against like 3 blanks. Whilst that in itself can be funny, doing that repeatedly against someone, yeah, quickly wears off.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it can sometimes have the negative effect of that person may not want to actually play against you again, especially if you're sort of like, oh yeah, look at that, I absolutely wiped the floor with you, and like that bad sportsmanship. I think one of the things I love about the X-Wing community, especially the people that I've played with and from everything I've seen so far with it, is that it's very good sportsman-like. There's no... You never see that like really like gloatiness there. There's always that, like, even if someone loses, they can always still say, right, well, actually, there was that point in that game which was really good. Like, looking back at this, I would say to Ed, man, that seismic charge you dropped that knocked off all the shields on my ships and took out Goji was absolutely amazing. Like, good work.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a good, like, sportsmanship feel to it, I guess would be the word.
Yeah.
But one thing I have noticed about this game, which I notice a lot about dual arc ships, like, say, whether it's the Arc or the Fire Spray or the thing that I can think of, is very rarely do you get to use Veteran Tail Gunner. Like, I've never had a chance to use him because it's quite hard to position your ship in a position where you can shoot out of both.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. But the times where we can pull it off is you suddenly go, you know what, it was worth it. But just having that option in itself is the main thing.
Yeah, I suppose because it's 4 points as well. Like, if you've got an empty gunner slot and you've got dual arcs, you might as well fit it.
Yeah. I mean, especially with this list for Ed, he had quite a few points spare for it, so it wasn't exactly like pushed for points in this.
No.
But again, it leaves I'm in a fairly awkward position there. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's really not looking too good for you. You're looking a bit unhealthy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're lucky, you might be able to take his Fen, but
yeah, I'd have to be quite lucky. And but you'll notice we mentioned earlier about those barrel rolls for Anakin, and I've actually done it twice in this game so far.
Yes, I had noticed that actually.
And there was an exact perfect moment to do it, because if I hadn't have done that, that would have been a bump. Although I've got intimidation, which would have been quite handy, getting Obi-Wan in a position to benefit from that wouldn't have been easy.
Intimidation's an interesting talent in that it can be quite useful. Like, especially if you've got someone like, I can't remember the A-Wing pilot, or the the Empire pilot.
You're thinking of Oiken on the Decimator.
Yes.
Who can still shoot at range 1, and for the A-Wing pilot...
I use him all the time. I should know his name. Like, man,
I can't even remember the A-Wing. I can remember that you've got...
You've got Jake. And then you've got... Arvel Prynid.
Yeah.
But I know someone that's got a 3 generic A-Wing list that have all got intimidation, and he wipes the floor with everyone he flies against, because where they're so maneuverable, you can quite easily park it next to in someone's way where it moves first, and then I think he's got rounded it out with some X-Wings that then obviously just do the damage.
Yeah. Wow, look at that 2 Talon roll.
Oh, I think, yep, you're going to hurt. Unless you get some really bad rolls.
Yeah.
I've had 6 dice rolls blank out on me before, so it's not guaranteed that it's going to kill you, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, the 2 Talon roll is an amazing move. I love the 2 Talon roll because no one ever expects it. No one expects the 2 Talon roll. I did not expect that there.
No.
And I mean, that slotted in between that obstacle and Obi-Wan like a glove.
The way you get the slide as well, the slide can make all the difference. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, with that, Ed had to slide him all the way back to be able to fit that in. It could only fit in one position, and he was able to get there. I mean, if it was about 2 millimeters further towards my board edge, that wouldn't have fit, and it would have been a bump.
I mean, I kind of want him to blank out now, just because it would be so ironic given his perfect positioning.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we know what red dice are like. Red dice hate you. But let's see. Those... Well, it's not great, but it's not bad. But unfortunately, my green dice hate me more.
Yep, that's always the way it is, though, isn't it?
That's 1 crit. And that is the weapons failure.
Oh, I hate weapons failure. Like, because you always get it before you engage.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. It's like, even if you're initiative 5 and you get a crit, it'll be weapons failure before you have a chance to fix it next turn.
Yeah.
So,
and also, this would have been a perfect option, a perfect time for...
Oh, because you've got your range 1, haven't you?
Range 1 bonus and the CLT, so I'd have had 4 shots. So that was a shame. That could have been really good there. But managed to get... Oh, he's going to spend elusive. So only 1 going through there.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like structural damage, I also hate as well because I always get it on my Y wings or my B wings. Anything
Yeah,
with one evade dice, like it's the first crit, like the first damage that gets through, and you're basically a sitting duck from that point on. Like unless you're the
yeah,
ghost or the decimator, you can't take hits that
yeah.
well.
Although that is how you do an advanced proton torpedo, 4 hits and a
Ooh.
crit.
Yep, that's. I forgot you had advanced photons. It's nice to get them out.
Yeah.
I'm going through
So,
a phase at the moment where I absolutely love the normal proton torpedoes.
yeah.
They're just so much fun.
Yeah. We got the 2 evades, so it's only shields down on Crassus. So I mean, I'm glad I got those advanced proton torpedoes off. I think that they're fun. Like they're not the easiest ones to pull off because obviously you need to get to range 1 and have the target lock. But I think that they are good fun. I mean, for me, I think some of my favourite missiles and torpedoes, you've got the plasma torpedo I'm a big fan of, and the barrage rockets, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yes, yeah. Barrage rockets are arguably easier to use because you only have to be focused, and you would
Yeah.
normally be focused anyway.
Ooh,
Somebody's just died.
Anakin. Hit, crit.
Didn't quite get out of his arc then. You were close, but not
Yeah.
quite. So, next turn can Obi-Wan like take anyone with him, or do we think he's gonna?
Yeah,
Gonna be
I think all in all, it's going to be bye-bye Obi, unfortunately.
I mean, you've got those 3 forces, so you could. Mind you've only got 2 hull, so yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I think
2 hull left with a Fenral behind me. I mean, and obviously with Crassus can just be like, you know what? I'm going to do a 2 bank or something, and then you'll be behind me and I've got arc on you.
yes, it's weird that the fire spray has a arc because when you see him in the films, it's clearly a turret because the gun moves forward and backwards. There's not one fixed behind it. I don't know how they chose to give it that dual arc rather than a fixed and a rotating one.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean,
I
not many
want to
got
get rid
that
of
sort
it.
of fixed like dual arc sense. There's a few ships that have it, which definitely makes sense,
Like the arc.
like the arc. But obviously, the rotating turrets, I think that is probably the best option and the best way they've actually introduced that to get rid of that 360 arc as well, because it does promote more forward thinking and forward planning in your flying as well. Like back in the day when you had the Falcon with a 360 arc, you're like, well, I'll just run dual Falcons. Doesn't matter how I fly, as long as I've got you in range, then yeah, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
Same with the Decimator. I mean, arguably it makes them slightly harder to fly, but it makes for a better game.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people I've flown against very much are against doing the rotate action unless it's a free action. Because even though you're moving to a position where you get that shot, if you got to defend in that turn as well, it doesn't feel like value adding because you've sacrificed everything. Like you don't get mods or anything.
Yeah, so I think that's where Agile Gunner becomes really handy.
Or 26 points on Luke if you're really feeling it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever quite feeling that.
Yeah, it's a bit pricey for a gunner.
Yeah. So looks like 3 hits there after spending 2 force.
Ooh, that's a double bank.
So that is 2 more going on to Crassus. So that 3 going on to Crassus there. Sorry, so that is half points on Crassus.
You've just got to survive Crassus going back at you.
Yeah,
you've only got 1 force left. Oh, yeah, that's
one force left, no mods, and Fen bumped.
Yeah, so I feel like Crassus is about to end.
Yeah. So that's 3. And that's game.
Bye bye, Obi.
So really good game there. Obviously, Ed showed me exactly how to fly and drop seismic charges there.
But as you say, he was practiced with this list, so
He had indeed.
Maybe if you were more familiar with your list, you could have put up more of a fight. But yes, it was a good match. Like It was interesting, but I think he always had the upper hand. Like as soon as he dropped that seismic and took out your shield, you were very much on the back foot.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But I just want to say again, GG to Ed, really good game. So, and thank you very much for coming along and commentating on that with me, Quinn.
That was quite all right. It was a very enjoyable match to watch.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we'll get you back on the channel soon. I just want to say, please make sure that you click that subscribe button and the notification bell to know when the next video is coming up. And we will see you again soon.
Bye for now.